going swimmingly, but there had been severe criticism of the earlier trials, particularly of the phase 3 trial of LAPDAP. And upon reflection, although I have to say it hurts me still to say it, this criticism was correct. And so in our phase 3 trials of CDA versus co-Artem, we paid considerably closer detail than we had before. There was frequent measurement of hemoglobin, for example, and there was G6PD genotyping and phenotyping in all the patients. This particular enzyme is a rate-limiting enzyme in red cells, and if it doesn't work properly, the red cell pops, which is not good for you. And dapsone, one of the drugs here, is notorious for causing hemolysis. So this diagram was the killer, and it requires no statistician to interpret it. These are male patients with G6PD deficiency, in red given co-Artem, and in black given CDA. And I well remember the conversation with GlaxoSmithKline over the telephone, in which there was a PowerPoint file that we were looking at from a distance, and they hadn't given me to understand that there was a particular problem, for they had only just broken the code, but it was fairly clear from their tone of voice that there was, and so I asked them, and they suggested that at this point I might like to find something to bite on, and that I should grip the edge of the table. Because you will have noticed that while the Academy of Medical Sciences in the United Kingdom is now referring to stratified medicines, the concept that you should twin a medicine to a diagnostic so that you can direct the medicine to the correct population, maximising benefit and minimising risk, that this really isn't something that's doable, at least not at the moment, in an African setting. And so, rather like a cell doomed to programmed cell death, we started the enzyme sequence for apoptosis, concluding that neither CDA nor LAPDAP were safe. A bitter decision after 10 years' work, but better that than other people's children should be put at risk. So then, moving on from phase 3 to phase 4, post-licensia assessment, just in my last few minutes. There are many differences between clinical trials needed for the file and clinical trials beyond the file, and I'll not go through them in a great deal of detail, other than to say that there's a great academic involvement in post-licensia work. And such things as the Malaria in Pregnancy Consortium, EDCTP, and the Intermittent Presumptive Treatment in Infants Consortium, to mention just 3, are looking at this type of stuff. As you can see, the sort of impact that this type of phase 4 work has can be immense. Finally then, Linda, just to finish on time, I hope, some reflections on partnership, and I think this probably is my last slide. I think I've illustrated for you the need for academics sometimes to get things started, to articulate the scientific case, and to be able to give a downstream view to upstream people, within the team to provide leadership and specific expertise, and also, of course, to communicate within the malaria community, but also within the team. Public-private partnerships are not passive entities, and much ATP needs to be expended to keep the damn things functioning. And very finally, I'm sorry, I did have one last slide. Making drugs is, I'm afraid, not for the faint-hearted. At the best of times, I think probably all of us in this room bear the scars of this, including me. It's harder to make drugs for malaria, I'm afraid, than for baldness or obesity, although I have to say we don't seem to be doing very well on either of those while we're at it. Pharmaceutical companies do want to engage, but I believe the role of MMV is vital. What we haven't talked about so far, other than sharing the cost, is the matter of sharing the risk. And the pharmaceutical companies have often stressed this to me, the need to be able to demonstrate to the people in Philadelphia that actually they haven't parted leave with their senses, and there are other individuals who think that this is a good thing. Also, partnership when things are going badly is terribly important. I think academics should, can, and should continue to play an important part in this. Thank you very much, and thank you again for the invitation.